NITV wishes to advise that this program may contain images and voices of people who have passed.
Hello and welcome to Nula, a weekly program produced by the NITV News team. Nula means here, there or everywhere in the Darug language, and that's exactly where we'll take you as we check in with mob around the country for a look at the week's news from an Indigenous perspective. Coming up, the Queen of Rock and Roll, Tina Turner, dies aged 83. Tributes reveal the impact her music had on Indigenous Australians. But first, members of the Stolen Generations and their descendants have come together around the country today to commemorate National Sorry Day. In Queensland, mob gathered on the site of the old Cranbrook House Girls' Home in Meanjin, Brisbane. It's a place where Aboriginal girls were taken after being forcibly removed from their families and communities. The girls were trained to work as servants for white families on remote stations. Many of the girls were sexually abused by those they were working for, and when they became pregnant, they were brought back to Brisbane where they gave birth and had their babies taken away. The house has been knocked down, but the pain remains for the community.
It's always sad, you know. It's just, you can't, no matter how much sorry they say, you can't forgive. Well, you can forgive, I suppose, but you can't forget. That's the only thing, you know.
In Sydney's West, elders joined a large crowd, which included dozens of school children, for a solemn smoking ceremony to acknowledge and honour members of the Stolen Generations. A local dance group performed before speakers reflected on all that has been taken from Aboriginal people over the last 235 years.
I think we must remember that before we had a generation of stolen children, we had stolen land, stolen life, stolen stories, stolen language, stolen culture, stolen art, stolen dance, everything stolen.
In Darwin, there was a solemn reflection as Stolen Generations survivors and descendants gathered to share their experiences and those of relatives who were forcibly removed. Thousands of mixed-race Aboriginal children from across the Northern Territory were taken from their families and sent to institutions. Dr. Eileen Cummings was just 4 years old when she was stolen from her family in central Arnhem Land.
And my mother asked me when I finally met up with her in 1962, why did they take you? You had a good home, you were on a cattle station with all your family, with my mother, my father, my uncles and aunties, all my cousins. And she could never understand why the government had taken me.
My mother, Bridget Johnson, was stolen from her country, stolen from her mother. They were sitting at the river when the policemen come on horseback. They stole her, they picked her up, stole her. Her mother chased after them, tried and tried to get her baby, her daughter, back. It didn't happen.
Those who survived the notorious Kinchilla boys' home in regional New South Wales have been remembered in a moving photographic exhibition in Sydney. Hundreds of children from across New South Wales were sent to the home where they suffered years of abuse and torment.
Ceremony amid the sorrow, survivors and descendants gather to share a story of strength and resilience. The horrors perpetrated on the Stolen Generations etched into the faces of those who endured one of the country's worst boys' homes.
Tonight really is about commemorating, honouring, remembering and celebrating all of the Kinchilla boys' home survivors. We have 56 survivors who are still alive with us, and tonight is also remembering the over 450 other survivors who are no longer with us.
Between 1924 and 1970, hundreds of children were taken from their families and sent to the Kinchilla boys' home near Kempsey in New South Wales.
When we went to this place that they call Kinchilla Boys' Home, It was never a home. It was a very evil place.
Being put in a place that it's no fault of our own, that no kids will ever go through what we went through.
While they all continue to bear the scars, for many, true healing comes from sharing their stories and memories through truth-telling.
For a lot of years, we were unable to talk about that, and I lived in a world that was not very good at all. And the only way for me to change that, is I didn't know, was to do what I'm doing now, is to speak, is to talk about it, and it's the only way that it can free the pain from inside.
People are listening now, and that's what really healing is people are listening to our stories.
Truth from the past to stop it happening in the future. Ricky Kirby, NITV News.
A powerful new documentary is pulling back the curtain on a group of stolen generation survivors who are yet to be fully acknowledged. Those who were raised by white families becoming totally disconnected from Aboriginal life